Sadly, I currently know more people that killed themselves that died of corona. Welcome to my anxiety disorder. So that might be a bit of a harsh intro, but there's definitely something that I would like to get off my chest. I know these measurements, they have been in place already for a few months or more than half a year now already. And yeah, I must say I definitely had some trouble in the last few months with my anxiety disorder. This is due to the measurements that are in place, also due to the uncertainty that brings. You can't turn on the news, or it goes either about the coronavirus, or it goes about how bad the economy is doing, and etc. And I must say, especially with the constrictions in place, I miss my balance. I miss my structure. Let's say before Corona, I must say the last year before that, I finally found the good balance for me, and I'm gonna include partying there in there as well, because I see the discussion going on about like, you can miss the parties, like, hey, you're thinking about yourself, and I would like to correct people on that, especially here in Berlin, where the clubs are such a safe space, such a place to be yourself, to lose your energy. As I mentioned before, when I went to clubs and the first few hours, if I would be there, I would really lose my stress and my anxiety. And that is something that I currently, miss, cannot do. Yeah, of course, we could go stand outside at Griesmühle with, 5 or 10 degrees, freeze our balls off, and we could still sort of party. But it's not the same. And for me, clubbing is also sort of therapy. I mentioned before a few times, but for me, going to a club while I had a hard week or a normal week, it allows me to give me a place where I, for a few hours, can just be myself, not think of those things, and especially trigger myself out of feeling bad. I will give you an example. Let's say, for example, I am not feeling so well. Well, that plays out in certain things. I can be chaotic, I might be a bit dramatic. That's all things that I accepted for myself, but it's not always something that I can just like easily lose. So what I used to do is, I used to go to Berghain. I would put myself on a dance floor, and if I would feel sad or stressed or whatever it might be, I would force myself to stay there. I would ask questions in my head like, okay, why are you sad? Is there a reason to be sad? Have you heard this story before? And that would mostly lead up to me just saying 10 times yes, forcing myself to enjoying the setting. And then slowly but steadily that anxiety, that stress would just go away. So just a small correction on the clubbing theme there. What I also must say is that I noticed there is a lot of like, hey, you have a lot of right extremists, you have a lot of left extremists, and this is something that really, bothers me. I see that there is not that much empathy towards each other. I see that it's easy being drawn as, if you are against the coronavirus, you're almost a Nazi that wants to kill everyone. If you are pro measurements, also there I see that there is not that much acceptance towards different views. And not only is this, of course, not nice because you cannot have conversations with each other, but this is also very dangerous from a different perspective. What we see now happening, that there is a lot of censorship going on. And you could say, of course, with things that you don't agree with or things that are quite extreme, that you should censor that away, but that has a different side effect than you might think. Um, if you put someone, first of all, in the control of saying, okay, this is something that we accept, this is something that we don't accept, there are things, even by the government and even by science, that they cannot necessarily prove. With science, I will give you the example. Science always has to be double proved, and some things are just not measurable. Is that okay? Of course. Like, we learn as a society, we develop, and etc. But at the moment that you go censor things, first of all, you will not allow different opinions or to further develop as society. There are certain things that are currently in the mainstream media that are not necessarily the truth. Also, it goes the other way around. Let's say, for example, here in Neukölln, there's a lot of discussion about neo-Nazis and etc. And of course, I might not agree with them, but the moment that you censor those opinions and views away, it also leads to the fact that people won't go in discussion with each other anymore. There's less acceptance towards each other, and that is something that you don't want. At least I would say. I would really say, like, although the discussion, the topic, or whatever, it might be as bad as it is, but by going in a discussion with each other, by still continue talking with each other, you allow different views, and you also allow that people might change their views. And this whole cancel culture, or like trying to make each other shut up, it's something that, if you look in history, that is something really dangerous. So yeah, all of these things together, the measurements, the restrictions, how people treat each other, that my structure is a way it really developed, not so nice. I was really, I am, I would say now a bit better. Now I live here at this amazing new place, and everything is in order again. But the last few months haven't been so easy for me. One part that I would like to still add is, I also noticed that there are a lot of people, other people, struggling with this. And if you ever wonder, like, hey, should I go to therapy, or should I find help? Please do so. Please do so. Like, don't think that you're too special, or that this is only happening to you. Yeah, this is happening to anyone. And go seek help. It's definitely something not to be anxious for. I will, just for my part, yes, I'm struggling it with these days. But on the other hand, I'm super happy that 2 years ago that I went to therapy to get help. Already for me to getting my diagnosis by then helped me a lot. And it's not necessarily that I would say, like, hey, you would automatically always become better, or that there is a state of normal or a state of always being fine. No, there isn't. But yeah, finding the tools for myself at that moment, how to deal with myself, especially that is something that really helped me. So yeah, my quick update about my frustration with the last few months. I really hope that if you notice that, let's say, for example, you say all cops are bad, I get that statement. I don't mind to making statements that are a bit extreme and to trigger people. But on the other hand, I also hope that people understand that it's not as easy as that. it's not as easy as just saying like, okay, we're gonna get rid of the police and then all of our problems are solved. If you see currently what is happening in America with the amount of crime that is increasing, do yourself a favor and look into New York or the tent cities in LA and San Francisco. Just saying that, I get it, and I also definitely I'm against police brutality, etc. But yeah, it's more complex, and I think we need to point the fingers at other people, train people better, also make sure that society gets better, not get drawn into this whole, oh, we're gonna have such a shitty life the upcoming years because of the economic crisis. Yeah, the economy is also just a made-up thing. Oh well, I hope to have been able to give a little bit more background to what was happening to me in the last few months. Don't get me wrong, like, my anxiety disorder sometimes plays up. Sometimes it takes an hour to get rid of it, sometimes it takes a few days. I'm doing my best. That's why I also, of course, started these videos again, because yeah, part of me noticed if I don't let out my creative side, I tend to feel worse. That's how simple it is. Oh well, I would just say, give each other a big hug, be a bit more empathetic to each other. Even if you talk about extreme things, try to think where that comes from. Try to think what the systems are that are influencing that behavior, and be a bit nicer to each other. Yeah, I would say big hug, be awesome, love you, and see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.